Um, so we're going to talk about one of the mentions in the papal bull, which was brought against the church, or it became the Catholic Church, a division of people who were protesting Protestants. The word comes from to protest, protesting the church and their inadequacies, because everybody is affected by the quality of the church. People could start all getting HIV, and no one would, or turn infertile, and nobody will be able to properly um, tell you what happened. They'll just say, well, it must have been bad blood that was given them to them, and it must have been back in the 70s before we had regulations like this. And if it is the case, it must have been this. And if it is the case, then somebody, messed up back then. And, they're kind of spelling it out that no one's really accountable for it in this modern day and age, but still under just hypothetical clauses that it must have been something like this. Why so many people suddenly got HIV, and there must have been some dodgy blood that was stored badly back in the 70s, and it went unchecked. It's bollocks. That's not the way it is. But anyway, they can't explain it. So everybody has a really good right to protest the church or the people in control of the church, because it affects everybody in the pool. Everybody who drinks water, eats bread, eats fish. It's unavoidable. Christianity is technically unavoidable. It's from the very top to the very bottom, and it was said it would last forever. If we didn't rock the boat or mess with it, people became very bored and oblivious with Christianity of being too perfect, and they started poking it and ripping it and tearing it apart and testing it. Not in the good prudent sense that Nietzsche tested, which I always kind of found semi-heretical, testing Christianity, but they actually are just poking, ripping it apart and trying to replace it, protesting. Indulgences is the part that I'm going to talk about. I could talk about lots of other things. Of the protests that were brought against the church. But indulgences, yeah. Now, down with this sort of thing, Father Familiar, Father Ted, and nobody knows what indulgences are. Down with this sort of thing, and if you bring attention to it, just like in Father Ted, oh Father, I wouldn't have known about indulgences. I might give it a go myself now that I do. No, 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 down with this sort of thing. So it's very hard to bring attention to these kind of things without making them worse. And this is what happened in World War II as well. That they were bringing it was all over Poland, Bulgaria, it was all up and down from Turkey. Very vulgar indulgences, public, like through pseudo-Judaic knowledges and things, and that's why Jews seem to be persecuted or singled out, because it was pseudo-Judaic knowledges. And Adolf Hitler went around and even burnt all the Masons' knowledges, and that was nothing to do about being Jewish. He destroyed all this kind of crap because he wanted nobody to be talking about it, nobody to know about it. Everybody just to have lovely Christian lamb-like blissful, blissful oblivious. Not exactly oblivious, because you're reigning under the good Lord who's taking care of you, and you don't have to be. You're not absolutely oblivious, with good lordship. And these indulgences will make the Mother Mary cry and the family of Jesus turn away from the world. So there is no good lordship, and that's when you start seeing things like immunity failing and migratory animals failing, because they don't know what to do anymore, and pollution will start to rise, because pollution magically was processed through good lordship. Only good lordship could probably deal with these massive massive problems with so much plastic in the water and all this kind of crap. So you can't do that. You will desperately try, and the irony is you spend a whole lot of money trying, where there was a whole lot of money robbed off somebody in the first place, and you're going to spend infinitely money cleaning up all these floods and messes and fires and catastrophes and epidemics and lawsuits, because you ripped off somebody in the first place, you robbed somebody in the first place. So it's really funny that you're going to, the money was what they cared about, but you're going to spend a lot more money trying to survive and fix, excuse me, and fix these things up. So indulgences, yeah. It's basically, if you're familiar with the Hashashins, it's a trippy out. It's a taste of heaven. I haven't really been, I haven't been. I got robbed very swiftly of my right. See, only the lamb has the right to hold these things. It's like being a solicitor or something like that. You have a lot of rights as a solicitor. You can't actually be brought to court because the whole system fails in a way. But it's not like solicitors take this freedom or liberty and go around breaking the law like most people would if they had the opportunities that was happening at the moment. They had these high rights, these high and holy rights to do anything or own everything or have anything they want for more than free, anything they want on a silver platter. It's very royalty and Marie Antoinette. I can talk more about that. Because if they're harmed, the whole world is harmed. If they're fine and happy and working, the whole world is fine, happy and working. But they these people get cheated. History of the Bible get cheated, ripped off, robbed, defamated, and usually they try to snuff them to silence them out. And then there's this massive problem that they can't be harmed. They did try to snuff them. They don't die because they didn't deserve to die in the first place. They deserved a lot opposite to being punished or to dying or suffering. And then the whole world burns and suffers because they tried to kill him. And it'll depend on the mercy of that Lord. I'm not Jesus. Depend on the mercy of that Lord if you're going to survive or not on his good graces and mercies. The mercy of Christ, the amazing grace of Jesus. Yeah, I'm not Jesus. Um, I used to be extremely Krishna, but I've just kind of survived long enough and not been whisked off up into heaven to realize how absolutely really horrible, shallow, and greedy pretty much everybody just come into this system if they're not gone away through respectful ignorances. They've all been very monsters. It's very like Lord of the Rings, when you're just there with Frodo, and then they suddenly get possessed and they just go and just charge at you. And it's also in Lord of the Rings loads, or in The Hobbit, where they said, he's got dragon mind and he's become all possessed and twisted and weird. I've seen this lots and lots, and I'm like, what has gotten into you people? They're monsters. They're absolutely addicted. Anyway, they're addicted to this. What I was talking about, hashash in heaven. It's a taste of heaven. You can't have your cake and eat your cake. So you're really not supposed to ever eat this cake at all, even though it's there. You're supposed to preserve this cake. This is an analogy I'm using, saying cake, because that's why Marie Antoinette was saying the people are starving and they're envious of how much money and comfort and convenience you have. And because she was probably lazy, she was slothful, like she didn't work. They just gave her everything she wanted, and she didn't want honest labor. That's the funny thing. Give her whatever she wants. I would like some honest labor. If Marie Antoinette wanted honest labor, everybody in France or wherever in this dominion would have had honest labor. But she was lazy, so all the people were lazy, and all the people were starving them because all the people were lazy. And then they're going to riot. They want your money and stuff. And then she said, well, fine, let them have their cake. Let them eat the cake. Again, people think it's a joke or that she was oblivious or she was stupid because they said they didn't have bread. And it's like, oh, well, fine, let them eat the cake is what she meant. Let them eat their cake. They'll survive for about 7 years and they'll have like a bit of extra money, like you might be all getting in some way on your social welfare things at the moment. But you won't survive. They will all perish from plague or something like this, and infertility and disease after about 7 years or so, 7 to 14 years. So she was just saying, like, oh yeah, let them eat their cake then. Let them have their little. They won't even have a generation. Uh, so yeah, it's addictive. I don't know too much about it or how to. Again, so like a solicitor, these keys were trusted onto me because I was a lamb. It's in the Book of Revelations. Only a lamb is worthy of holding these keys. So someone very similar to, well, not explicitly in every single way like Jesus Christ, but someone very similar to, not to compare myself to Jesus Christ. But lamb, true nature and nurture. So it takes a lot of effort. You can't just be born with these good looks. It's like, oh, I was just born with a birthright and I am divinely. No, you have to earn it as well. You need to be born and you need to earn it. And it's not actually hard to do. I could explain it a lot more. How to achieve Israelites. And I have done in other videos. I'm getting to the point here on indulgences and protesting against these indulgences. And why you very much ought to be protesting against these indulgences and why they will not stop indulging. So it's like hashash in heaven anyway, and it's so amazing and addictive that when they wake up in this world, just like the hashashins, it's very cold and full of pain and hunger, and you'd actually feel in pain from transversing from one plane to this perfect state of being and happiness. Again, tasting the cake or nibbling at the cake like mice and waking up in this realm. So then people will understand that there's a lot of persuasion, and this is where the assassins came from, that people are willing to murder and do messed up and kill kids. This is happening in Ireland at the moment. There's so many police and military, and they're killing kids, they're killing cattle, they're doing mad, messed up stuff because they all want to revisit Hashashin Heaven, which was stolen through me. These keys were stolen through me again. So I was like a solicitor, and I had these rights which I wouldn't have abused because I was celibate, but they are massively, actively abusing um, my birthright, my name. Access it, not to be profane or anything, but accessing the Zion access codes through me. Um, and so they tried to torture me, murder me, snuff me, disappear me, and defamate me a lot over the last 10 years. But over this time, they're very well rooted now, and they actually have businesses. They're selling it as subscription. You're probably being sold it in augmented reality. I heard it on the radio that they're testing out waters that you get to fornicate with all of your ex-girlfriends or other people's ex-girlfriends. And all the pop stars who signed a contract giving their name away to some sort of company or whatever. I'm not going to say any names at this point. Um, and you can fornicate, and this is what free Britney Spears came from, because Britney Spears was not happy that the whole world were free to fornicate with her name in some sort of hashash in heaven because she signed a piece of paper. So she wanted to get away from this and say, no, you don't have the right to fornicate with me. That would cause like AIDS. If millions and millions and millions of people are fornicating, then that's going to cause something like HIV. And that is what is happening. But it's happening like, anyway, it's happening in heaven. Heaven will happen on earth. So yeah, and there's a lot of abusing kids involved in it because kids are closer to lambs or Jesus than grown-ups. So there's a lot of abusing the names of children, big time. Pediatric hospitals or doctors, and I will say the name Andrew Grant because he's on the top of the list of fucking assassin infidels. He's a fake doctor. He was pretending to be a psychiatric doctor and now is working with the pediatrics, and he's still stalking me. Along with one or two other the doctors that studied me and got addicted or got messed up or got connected to this assassin heaven, because they get approached like Pinkerton. This is exactly where Pinkerton came from. They get approached pretty quick, swiftly. So anybody I talk to or make friends with, I'm not going to go recruiting. I ought to be like Jesus did and recruit and make a big mess and make a big persuasion and do all that big gospel mess again and again. I have the great prudence and foresight of reading and convenience of reading gospels and avoiding these messes where everybody else is just making the same mess again and again and again. It's biblical messes, and you can compare it, even compared it throughout the Bible. Torah events here, Jeremiah here, King David here. It's like God, it's all just a bunch of greedy, stupid people rob the rights and potentials of a very nice, humble person, a Christian lamb, and they'll be like, he owns all the money in the world, but he's so Christian and lamb, like he doesn't care for money. And I don't give a flying fluke. It's an idea. You made it up. It's an agreed negotiation you share between other people. It has no backed up or no quality about it. It's just an agreed. It's just an agreement. An agreement we all made to say this piece of paper is worth um, trades and goods and labours, and we all disagree upon that. It's not real at all. It's technically IOUs. It's a big inflated system of IOUs. And I've talked about all this crap before. I'm not going to get into it. Mastermind. Um, so yeah, indulgences. Now you ought to be very concerned about this because they won't stop. And this is where Islam also saved the world from oblivion, because this has happened as well. They're breathing the name of Jesus Christ. They're all fighting over it, coveting it, suppressing his truth, coveting the Gospel of Thomas, his actual personal writings and things, or journals, and rather than the explicit teachings he gave while um, well, he was on fire. I suppose while he was on fire. The words in red, which they found out. So yeah, so Islam saved the world because the world was indulging through Jesus to the point that Mother Mary started crying blood and things, and Islam went around and killed the infidels. And I believe me, if you think that's harsh or scary that Muhammad went around chopping off heads and hands, if you realize the consequences of what these greedy, addicted hashashins are, these are pop stars. These are little pop princesses. They got the prettiest people in the world. And if you're not too pretty, you don't get a job. You'll end up in spiritual bondage and slavery. As it is all technically spiritual bondage. But you might end up like Herodotus and Shalom, and like she wants her daughters, her spiritual, she wants her children to be raised up under the protection of this Babylonian gypsyhood. And you won't be born Israelites. Remember, I was saying I could teach you how to bore Israelites. They won't be born into the mouth of a gypsy dragon. They won't be born into Babylonian slavery, and they won't perish either. So then there's this really complicated predicament of a birth situation, or anyway. So yeah, and this is where the term Shabbat Shalom comes from. It means save Shalom, save the kids, save the girl. Shabbat Shalom. And once Shalom's happy, the world will be we're moving towards happiness and peace again. So Shabbat Shalom means save the kids, save the girl. It says, kids, Marty, we got to do something about your kids. We need to travel back in time at this stage because they've made such a mess about it and concealed it for so long. So that's where Shabbat Shalom comes in. Save Shalom from Babylonian sex slavery, where she would be happy and comfortable and have money and cake. Yes, she'd be eating cake for her little measly life on earth. So get indulgences, and these are affecting every one of you. So war, famine, and drought. I just think this is so funny because Higgins is so massively. The American president. I think he's been in government for 9 years, isn't it? An 8-year term. And he's still in government in Ireland, about 9 years on. It's Republican. Nobody questions or things. He's from Florida. He's massively involved in this. He's very addicted. He thinks he's royalty or some sort of divinity light, and he gets all the gypsy. He rounds up my flock. You know, he rounds them all up and he's like, "Hello, fellow enlightened. Um, we have been summoned, and yes, we are listeners, and we are the divine enlightened." Oh God, hell! These are a bunch of Babylonian. These are a bunch of Babylonian burning gypsies. These are oblivious about the fact. It's really painful. Having to hear the new Solace program, and yeah, I want a Babylonian witch doctor in every police station in the country, and that is the actual case. You have a Babylonian Antichrist witch doctor in every single police station in the country, abusing the temple to elicit all of your confessions. Yes, yes. See, this happens in a broken temple with no true lordship. All your confessions are vulnerable. You don't have. This is why we celebrate confidence in Christ, because in Jesus all of our confidences are safe. There's no snitching. There's no snitching with Jesus. But if without truth, all your confessions will be safe for me as well. But again, I'm being rejected, cut out, and mutinied. And so your confessions aren't safe. And Higgins does have a Babylonian Antichrist witch doctor in every single police station in the country, one in every police station around the country. And this is where Orwell's Nightmare 1984 comes from. And Higgins has brought this in and instituted it and placed it on this country. And so your confessions aren't safe, and the pigs are buggering you and your families to find out where you keep your cocaine, lads. And that's what Operation Tara and the big crackdown was all about. They just sat around for a while. This has been going on for 10 years now, so they got the hang of it after about like 6 or after a few years. And they're buggering you, stealing your confessions, going through your minds. And this application has been globalized. This is where Skynet's gone global now. Adolf Hitler's worst dream or worst nightmare. And it is Orwell's nightmare as well. What happens when gypsies rule the world? And there's going to be lots of corrupt military, corrupt police, and they're all going to be partying and indulging in assassin heaven. Now, while they were indulging, by the way, and there's going to be lots of genius, nice, kind, like you see Winston and his friend, the mathematical genius, and they're living in Babylonian gypsy slavery, and they're very limited to what they're allowed because the indulgences have to balance out. So they have everybody else starving and have very little in life to balance out so much of the indulgences. Now, these indulgences cause famine, drought, famine. They call it waters because they're technically drinking the holy waters. And that's what we hear about Hashem as well. There's waters, there's heavenly waters on pour, and there's pouring honey. And they call me nectar. They call me the water, and they call me nectar. It's very profane. I don't like being objectified in this way. And it's like, oh, his waters, and they're drinking the waters from heaven, and there's drought on earth. And they're consuming my nectar, which is actually my spinal fluid. And that was very painful. And I think that's stopped now. The stomach at the moment, the stomach in the bowels, or whatever they're doing, they're chanting or they're using gypsy profanity or they're doing something lately, and it's really the stomach. Anyway, so yeah, these cause a drought, war, famine, death, plague, disease, the whole world over. And if you think about it, when you're locked away up in the Vatican, you don't, like it's before the age of global communication, you don't really know or care about people starving in Africa or Ethiopia, but their indulgences were causing war, famine, and drought all around the world. So this is where you hear in the Bible to be rumors before global communication. The people indulging will have rumors of war and famine and travailances throughout the land. They'll eventually, after years, see if we didn't have global communication, so you really have no good excuse. It might take nearly 10 years, which it has taken 10 years at the moment. It might take for word of mouth to get through and warnings to get through. um, um, to make them stop, to like Moses and say, stop, let these people go, stop indulging, stop harvesting them, stop coveting them, because that's what's happening there on a different scale and a different event and a different orientation and a different equilibrium. So the Bible is full of all these different ways that this event can manifest into different ways. Sometimes it was apparently a great thing, and they nurtured it and kept it burning, the burning bush, as long as they could, and they tried to make it dignified, but it's not supposed to be burning. It's supposed to be a unified temple, just give true and humble respects to the blatantly revealed, honest looking heater bee. It's not even that big a deal. It's all really, like, bees do it so much better than you, and bees don't know stuff. It's because of all your knowledge, humans, and all your pride, and you want to be in charge. I'm the leader. I'm the president. I'm the primary. Like, bees don't do that, and bees just humbly just bubble on, and bees make physical nectar of their own, physical honey of their own, and they don't go pinching honey from heaven. But that displacement, anyway, is what happens. So you'll consume the fruits of heaven, and there'll be famine on earth. There'll be no food on earth. Now, these people will be the last people to know about it. This is what they're trying to warn you about. It's like they don't care about the floods all around the equator at the moment, and there's hundreds of thousands of people dead, and towns, families ruined. It's going to be very hard to clean up from that. I even saw them trying to shovel it all around. It's like, well, where are you shoveling it to? Just build on top of it or something. It's not going anywhere, man. It's like no amount of shoveling or bulldozing. You're just going to be, God help them all. In Asia, Russia was kind of first. Brazil particularly had bad. I'm sure it's lots and lots and lots of places. Again, you have global communications now, so there's really no good excuse why these catastrophes and very strange signs that you all have been seeing have not been ringing any bells with the Vatican or the Church or even Islam, to be saying, right, well, there's basically somebody indulging, and they are Sinn Féin, the IRA, a bunch of Matin boys, the Rose World, Florida, Vanderbergs, Rockefellers, Rockheims, Andrew Green, which I doubt is his real name. Again, he's over here under false qualifications, practicing medicine without a license. And again, the Irish government failure to prosecute. Do you know how many murderers and psychopaths I know? Because the confessions aren't safe, but I'm not telling you about them. Do you know how many murderous policemen, psychopathic monsters there are? And the government know very much well about them, and that they're in this country, and they don't prosecute them at all. They actually get like taxis around the place to get tax-paid police taxis around the place, and their identities are being protected by the government, because they must be paying you more than you're paying in taxes, boys and girls. Yes, scummy republic. Scummy, very dirty. And they're all rich. All the Irish politicians are pig scum, Babylonian wealthy, for no good reason. Was Kerrygold gone through the roof in international sales or something like that? And Ireland, just for some reason, are the wealthiest country in the world, like up there, and as wealthy and booming as Beijing. Beijing. If you compared Ireland to Beijing, why are you so scum wealthy, Ireland? So yes, to the whole world, that's what's happening. So everyone getting HIV and AIDS, everyone turning infertile. Your balls are going to drop off by next Christmas, by the way. They're going to start dropping off. War, people in Ukraine that aren't happy. Well done to everyone in Taiwan and China that avoided war there, because I'm very, very happy that you avoided war there, because that's just going to be war here. It's going to be war there. And there's war in the Middle East, of course, yeah. And there's going to be just wherever. It's because, as I said, it generates war. It generates famine everywhere, and generates war everywhere. So it's not really going to be one. Well, it might turn into one big world war, but it's just war everywhere, because they're warring in the temple. They're fighting in the temple over it. They run competitions on a daily basis, where they hex and cull and chant and sit around being absolute sodomites. They have no idea what they're practicing in. It's a very sensitive situation, and it's affecting everyone. It's affecting everyone. It's causing these indulgences that they're abusing through my name and through my position in Christianity or in the world, whatever. Which I, again, would not abuse, being celibate, sainted, and I wouldn't be abusing your confessions or eliciting your confessions. But what I'm supposed to do is, and you can condition. So it's practically, they call it training, which is really profane. It's technically brainwashing. You can manipulate people to do whatever you want. And again, if you're a very nice person like myself or Jesus Christ, I wouldn't be manipulating you or exploiting you or taking advantage of you. They are. Big time. big deal. It's called conditioning and training, and they are doing it a lot, a lot, a lot. They condition you to ignore me, to hate me. If you watch my videos and go through them, you can hear like sometimes my words just sound like I'm cursing or swearing, or sometimes you just immediately disdain. Sometimes it depends. Like if I can change the order of the day, it changes. Switch it around, and sometimes it's really appealing, and you can't get enough and want to watch more of his videos and more of his videos. But yeah, so they can condition. So what's I'm supposed to do with this potential is I'm supposed to know if you're a murderer, basically, because all your confessions they're safe, but I know all your confessions. I know everything you've done, basically. And again, this is very appealing to people like police officers who have a Babylonian gypsy witch doctor in every single police station in the country at the moment. Every single police station. As Higgins did that. Um, so if you are a murderer, this is how this confession box is supposed to work. Really, if you don't need to confess, I'd already know it if I wanted to. But if you wanted to confide in me, kind of thing, um, you don't have to tell me anyway. But I'm supposed to know about it. Basically, is what's supposed to be done, and not other people are supposed to be doing it. Only I'm supposed to. Only Lamb is supposed to be sufficient and qualified to do these things and put fingerprints on things or touch things in this kind of way. You are not supposed to touch this stuff. If I know that you're a murderer, I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm just supposed to condition you to never do it again, to be remorseful about what you've done, and try to find some good, honest labours and work your arse off for at least 10 fucking years and feel bad about it. And maybe after 10 years, maybe go back to living a normal life and go to the pub and chat up a girl. But you really ought to. I just conditioned them to like live a very, penitent, repentant life for a good long period, genuine period. Technically, we're prison and things no, gotta come from, but that's how it's supposed to work. I'm just supposed to not tell anyone, the pigs or anything, that you murdered. I'm just supposed to make you feel, condition you to feel bad and mindful about it. And I'm supposed to be conditioning everybody to prevent this. So I'm supposed to be working in prevention to make everybody, not fascistly and brainwashingly, make everybody happy and friendly and hardworking. And so they're loving this in the Republic, they can condition you. They're all about to riot at one point. He's had enough and he's all exploded. And then that just disappeared. The great spirit of the Irish Rebellion completely disappeared. Yeah, and pigs are indulging. They are the ones indulging Republican police. And they have a Babylonian witch doctor in every police station in the country. So yeah, my local little police station, yeah, Babylonian witch doctor. Friars all over. So I don't know how you feel about that. I feel violated. They've violated many human rights and and they've abused the potential of the church to do these things. So they're heretics and they're criminals, and they're still bossing you around and shaming and blaming, saying you were full of hatred and anger for rioting. That's absolute. I can't believe they turned that on the people and blamed the people. It's like the government got caught killing, again, they were killing kids. They needed these kids for their Babylonian. They need their names so they can go through in their names because they're close to Christ, so they abuse their names to go through. Go through again, I think this is a profane term. It's very vulgar and insensitive to what you're dealing with. You even say online, I'm going online. It's like, oh my God, you trespassers, sodomites, and defiling and polluting heaven. All heavens are connected, even if you are just abusing my heaven. I'm property of heaven. Lamb, I'm property of heaven. And it was this massive struggle between heaven wanting to take me and me wanting to stay to make things good in my lamb-like ways. So when I'm harmed, heaven feels like a pinch on the toe. If I get harmed, and you don't want to harm heaven because you'll be destroyed. So that's why I can't be harmed. I'm not supposed to be harmed. And you're supposed to humbly follow my directions like a heater bee directs the other bees around and guides them and can make them special. And that's another annoying thing about this is they can make people special for me. So I have these torrents of people that come out to my neighborhood to get connected to me, and it's how they do the subscription. So I see all these pretty little pop stars, pop tarts all the time filtering into my neighborhood, and they have the little house shares all over my neighborhood, and they'll teach them. They keep teaching and teaching and teaching. So Hitler would kill these pieces where there's a spread. Gas Islam would kill these people. They'd go straight to the gas chambers because they're just teaching and teaching and teaching and bringing more and more people. And I'm only one donkey, and everybody's jumping on board. And when this donkey falls and his face hits the ground, you are all going to feel that again because I'm not supposed to be harmed. So actually, in the sense, if you really want to push it to the extremities in the ways that kings and poets have expressed this in the past, If you stand in my way, now this is poetical because even Damien Rothschild tried to recreate this sort of event physically after I mentioned it. If you, it's a popular saying, cut your throat and keep walking. It's in a Slipknot album cover, but it's not exactly what it is. It's just a very old translated saying, the way that's probably been received. If somebody stands in my way or gets in my path, again, not physically, but just, generally, if you get in my way, don't get in my way. But, and I'll exaggerate this literally, but people actually stand in my way. It's like, it's fine, don't worry, don't bother. Like, people actually just get in my way in the streets or when I'm skateboarding or whatever. Like, and I was like, it's fine, it's not a bother. I'm very understanding. So it's not the literal poetry, but if people actually pervert my course of justice, for example, or defamate me, or get in my way, or prevent me from achieving my destiny in life, everybody else in the world is supposed to cut their throat as quickly as possible. Because if it hinders me, it hinders everybody in the world. See where it's coming from? So they're breaking your balls. So if somebody bothers me, that bothers everybody. So everybody really wants to cut the throat of the person that stands. It's a big, extreme and exaggerated term to cut your throat, and I'll cut your throat and keep walking. It's an old kingly. I wouldn't say it like that, but that's the sensitivity of the situation that you're actually dealing with. That if somebody's preventing me, hindering me, bullying me, torturing me, hunting me, that this world is going to suffer the same things that I go through. So you really want to get in there and kill him, and that's what Islam did for Jesus to save Christianity, the church, and that's what even Protestants did to try to save Christianity as well from indulgences, people indulging. Um, which is hilarious, because Sinn Féin are so like anti-Protestant, and they're a big bunch of indulgent Catholics now, aren't they? It's hilarious. They're absolute sodomites, and they're loyalists to foreign militaries and foreign persuasions. So they're loyalists, and they're big rotten and indulgences that only bring validity to the Protestant movement, and they do bring validity to the Protestant movement and to Islam. And I'm vegan, and I wouldn't want to see anybody harmed, but yeah, and I'd be chopping off heads and hands if I was all of yous, and I'd be um, looking into the rose world. And again, these are all the super wealthiest people in the world, but there's a lot more people than them. These are a lot more than them, and they are harming all of you. So if you're suffering from famine, drought, flooding, HIV, everyone in Britain that kind of has a case, no one else in the world is bringing up it, and a legal case, like England could bring up a legal case for no legitimacy. Everyone else has HIV and AIDS. It's all over America. All over America. I saw some lad with a big an activist kind of guy, and he had his top on and said, "If I die from HIV, leave my body outside the health, whatever, Department of Health or something like that." So yeah, excessive things like excessive strain and not unholy. See, like people say, like AIDS came from like gay people having sex, and it's not. It's it's not gay, but gay people are very prone to be turned against the church, which is problematic, massively problematic, because Jesus was really brave and gay about it all. I'd love to tell. I was actually supposed to be some sort of prophet to help the queers big time. I didn't even get called a queer because, and loads of horrible things were being so sympathetic and sympathetic, and for lots of people, and I don't want to put people in minorities or minor communities in bags, but like travelers need to be validated. They're very important to Christianity, and they've kind of forgotten the queers. You've no idea how brave, and he did exactly what they did in Stonewall. Jesus and his boss went against the entire order in society, no matter what they taught, and said was good and bad and right and wrong or sinful. And Jesus completely objected and went against it. He was a rebel as well. He went against the church. So the queers really loved. I think the queers would love Jesus. But anyway, they anger. So if they're blatantly very rejectful, or even actively rejectful of the church or of Jesus, and Jesus makes things like not casual sex, but like the sex anyway that we have in this kind of world. It's not. It is true. The cloth of Christ. So I became celibate when I realized it. It is true. The patience and graces of Christ. So if you actively speak against Christ while He's trying to preserve you, um, it's not gonna happen. You won't have these graces and ordinances basically if you reject God or Jesus or Christ or the church. Or if you reject, and they're kind of put in a position where it's natural to reject the church because they've been told that they're not natural or something. and that's a really horrible place to be put in. And then it's like just instantly I'd reject it too if I was told that. But no, there is not. It's not. It's very misunderstood. It's very even like I know when I get off topic of it is even I was talking to a friend and you clearly didn't really like homosexuality, and he was talking about the poetry in the Bible that it's the sticks of faggots that burn the fires of hell. And I was like, yeah, but that's just a faggot is a dry piece of wood, and the Bible's all about being oily, like a tree of oil. And like the queers are very oily, it's like oily. Artistic, creative, hardworking, friendly, and communal. Like they're all those oily things. Hardworking, friendly, creative, very much so, very creative. So they're very oily. So a fag stick is a dry soul, a dead, angry, bitter, dry soul, with no enthusiasm in life. Or so that those kind of dead bodies and non-playable characters. I don't know how you say it. Soulless, very empty, soulless. Just sit around 70 years old, still wanking off every day. That's all you do, kind of, and you just feed yourself and just wank, and you're still 70 and you're still doing it. That's a very dry soul. That's a very dry, pointless soul. Like there's no spirit, there's no enthusiasm, there's no life, there's no friends or community, there's no love. Basically, lovelessness is a dry soul. Like so yeah, they're not called. I think the word fag came more to do with a pack of fags, a bunch of gay people together, and they used to say that they were dead wood. They're not dead wood. You'd probably be a loner if you're a dead wood. Like, I was just actually weighing through all the qualities there of being a dead fag. Like, Jesus, John. Well, I don't masturbate or anything like that, but like, I was like, loving. I'm not so loving these days. Communal, not so communal these days. Hard working. I'm never going to pay taxes again. I do like. I just been robbed too much. I robbed my holy fortune, and they tried to snuff me. I'm never going to pay taxes to this country again, or many other countries. You're just not supposed to giving me money. You're not supposed to give me all the money. I'm supposed to get anything I want for free, and it causes trouble to them because I walk around still going to shopping, still go to Aldi, and still like hanging around and getting buses. So he's not supposed to be on buses. He's not supposed to be shopping. He's supposed to have everything he wants on a silver platter kind of thing. I'm just, again, too humble to want or demand these things. But it's causing problems. It's spreading Babylonian bushfire. And there's Babylonian bushfire spreading because people don't give recognition of true lordship. And that's what Islam did to save the world from indulgent Babylonian popes, the Alexandrian popes. Excuse me. They, without killing too many people or killing everybody, go Islam. Um, they educated them. They brought them to an understanding that a true history of Israelites must be recognized. Must be recognized. So the Bible kind of recognized a history of Israelites and a history of Israelites that came from a condition of absolute oblivion when there were none left on earth. So it has all the stories there, like of the getting off. Probably fell off the ground, or fell into one point, and then when there was none on earth. So it's a very Genesis, exactly why it's called Genesis, very Genesis collection of stories, because it reaches the Genesis of when we started to actually come into a covenant and achieve good lordship. And it took three or four generations of Abraham, True, Joseph. Our hero Joseph. Islam and Christianity, two world religions in one family name. That's a pretty good family, Joseph. You can see why the dad liked him so much. So yeah, a true history of Israelites is most humbly and is the most affordable solution to your war, famine, HIV, corona, disease. And it's not going to stop. It's only getting worse, by the way. You're only reaching 10. You're 10 now, and you're by 10.5, the death horse starts. And then by year 14, there's no more. You're done. You're finished sowing at that point. You may as well just top yourself if you haven't already started killing yourselves by year 14. And don't even sit around and say, we have 4 whole years more to indulge. We have like 4 more years we can abuse. But no, use it. Especially if you know it's FUCK. It's even worse if you know about it. Like patience and graces of heaven and God are going to wear thin if you know what you're doing and you still don't stop doing it. And if they know the ramifications now that I'm trying to say to, not just talking to the people of the world, I'm talking to these gypsies who watch my channel more than other people watch my channel. I heard there's like pseudo proxy schools on TikTok with all my teachings, and they have millions of followers, and there's some lad claiming to be the Messiah. And I was on TikTok, and I was just like, my YouTube's crap, man. And I have it all. I was like, nobody watches my YouTube. It's actually really hard to find. It's really locked down, and I had 590 videos or something, and about 60 of them disappeared recently. And I think it was all stuff containing anything with the name, certain names or something. And I don't want to say those names now in case this video gets censored. But yeah, like 90 of my videos disappeared, 60 of my videos disappeared recently. So I think I've been heavily censored. And again, yeah, they did that before. They persecuted, they censored, and they tried to reduce the truth of Christianity. And they got down to two or three, like, killing them, getting rid of them. And because there was misinterpretation probably of scripture, they're killing the wrong way, killing in the wrong organizer, the wrong people. And there's two or three left, and they didn't die. Peter, Paul, and Mary. So they didn't die. And then that's when they realized it's not going to stop. You're going to have to get down with the sickness. It wasn't a sickness. Get down with the true church, because otherwise it's a burning bush, and that's why they're trying to destroy it, because it appeared to be a burning bush or a sickness. And no, you're supposed to let it rip, like Boris Johnson said, let it rip. So you put me on the put me on the television with Tommy Tiernan. We'll sit down, we'll have a cup of tea, and Tommy's going to sit down, tell us all about yourself, John, and talk to us, and that's just going to save your balls. It's so simple. It's like, hi, I'm a sainted scholar from the country and land of sainted scholars, and you've murdered, defamated me, tried to ruin me, cheat me, and rob me. Ireland. Ireland. Yeah, these are top on the oblivion list, I must say, for the country that was so known for graciously and humbly accepting family and friends of Christ. You say, couldn't do it for yourselves, could you? As usual, Paddy, you couldn't do it for yourselves. Begrudgery, and it was just begrudgery. It's like, what, your man there, Mr. Personality, fucking hairdo, hair don't, Mr. Personality, sure, what do you think, he's perfect? Sure, we're all perfect strawberries from Wexford. Pure emotions ever since that award was stolen. Like, so what is it to an award? Well, not everybody's happy that the beef is back in town. Thinks he's the best thing since. Yeah, that was my joke, and it is sliced bread. I like to explain that. That's Christianity. The greatest thing since Christianity, sliced bread. The greatest thing since the bread was broken and divided and given to everybody. So you don't need that to happen again, by the way. You already had that perfection. And that was supposed to be the icing on the cake. It's supposed to be the cherry on top of that icing on that cake, of that Christian cake, that you're not supposed to eat the cake. You're supposed to leave the cake preserved, and then boom, cherry on top. Me comes along, boom, cherry on top of the cake. Right, you rob the cake and try to squash the cherry. Yeah, so you don't need to make a cake out of me, because that won't work. You had your cake, and if you're eating your cake, you're not getting another cake. Everybody will get one, although one is enough for everybody. It's really the smartest thing I've ever heard in my life. Roald Dahl. Everybody will get one, and these can rob each other's. But one is actually enough for everybody. But then you see a lot of fighting and squabbling, even though one is enough for everybody, and everybody did get one. So yeah, that's just human nature, I suppose. It's where you give a lot of abundance and a lot of opportunity in life, but yes. Yeah. So yeah, that's Islam in a kind of nutshell. That's why we kill infidels. Infidelity. You need to be at highest fidelity when dealing with Mary, Miss um, Miss Mary Poppins. You need to be on the highest of fidelity. Yes, fidelity. Yes, with cordiality. And it's where infidelity comes from. When you're grumpy IRA, Sinn Féin lads just sit around on your crack pipe, smoking and wanking all day and chanting biblical scripture in backwards for unhealthy holy attention, and killing and murdering for attention, and doing all this gypsy crap that America have come over and liberated you all with, like they did in Liberia. Yeah, killing the kids for the juju, hashash in heavens. So yeah, you can't eat the cake. That's what happened. That's what I said. Oh, they are eating the cake. Yeah, take their cake away. That's what I say. And like Marie Antoinette, give me everything, everything I want. Yes, this is very inconvenient for my Christian Taoist humility and my general spirituality. Is like, oh no, I can have anything and everything now. I need socks. Actually, I have like 3 pairs of socks that I'm working off at the moment, so I wouldn't mind some socks, new socks. I'll pick them out. I could be a bit fussy with my footsies, fussy with my footwear. So you don't need to buy them for me though. Though I will have everything on a silver platter. You know what I mean? And you will have everything on a silver platter. See, that's how it works. It's magical. It's Disney magic. Give Marie Antoinette everything she wants, and we'll have everything we want. Virtually, it's poetical, you know, but it is actually how it works. Heater bees and worker bees. Disney magic. If you just let their dreams come true, all their dreams come true, then everybody in the Disney world, all of their dreams come true. Or you're free to have all your dreams come true anyway. Doesn't mean they necessarily will, but you're freer. So yeah, you don't want to know how much I've been persecuted, starved, tortured, framed, defamated, hunted, attacked, all day, every day for 10 years. So I'm not exactly, Marie Antoinette sitting here with my cup of tea in a lovely, okay, yeah. I'm in an overcrowded family home, and my dad recently tried to murder me. No, I can't say that. It was a domestic anyway. So yeah, good luck with that. By the way, can't be harmed. And the old man tried to kill me. So I imagine you'll start seeing Passover 7 years later from that period when my dad tried to murder me. That's when the firstborn son. I'm the firstborn son of the family, so that's when you see all the firstborn sons being killed. I'll be fine. Don't worry. Once again, as always, I'll be fine. I will be fine. Nothing else matters. So don't worry, as you ought to be worried about me. Like Kim Jong Un or Kim Jong, pretty much very similar. He'd or be do everything he says. Yeah, and when everybody respects him and gives true recognition to that fact, they all become very prosperous. Yeah, that's how simple and humble North Korea. I love North Korea. Somebody's doing it right. Oh, and you all think they're so strange. At least somebody's doing it right. A little humility would go a long way with this. But sadly, this situation rooted and stemmed out of Ireland, the most begrudgerous land in the world. Fucking man, I just get fucking pricked. You ever seen The Commitments? It's a great one. You know what's funny about The Commitments? It was actually made by a British person because we couldn't actually get our shit together. Excuse me, we couldn't actually get it together. So a British person actually made the movie about the Irish not being able to get their stuff together. Well, they were trying to make a movie about Irish success, but then actually they start falling apart on set, and the British director guy's like, "Well, let's just keep rolling. This is good content anyway." So yeah, they actually did. They couldn't actually make the movie. They couldn't actually. They fell apart trying to make the movie. Start trying to kill each other, and they just kept the cameras rolling. Yeah, um, yeah, funny movie. Very funny movie. As to why there's no famous people from Ireland, because they kill you. Ireland will just kill you to prevent you. They couldn't deal with the envy and begrudgery of someone else, and they'll all come over and form a big line outside your house and want to fight your dad, and they'll all think they have the right to fight you and your dad, and if they beat you and your dad, then there, bam, said it, I'm better than you. Who do you think you are in that first place? Mister, I'm so what? Yeah, check me out. That's yeah, that's it. Yes, that's why there's no famous people, famous people from Ireland. Because yes, the begrudgery and hatred. That's why there's nothing that comes out of Ireland. It's very much along the lines in this country of why would I help make you or help you? And that's what you have to actually have to do this time. Yeah, you have to necessarily put me on the TV. As I'm like my graces for Ireland are very spent at this moment. So even if Tommy Tiernan might want to put me on Irish TV, I'm not very merciful towards Ireland and how I've been treated, and Northern Ireland as well. How I've been treated by this place, this island. So I'm very happy to go on British TV and save you all from HIV, or German TV. Or Russian TV. I'm very happy to go and yeah, everybody that buggered me can take the back of the line. I'm not going to condemn you and cut you off altogether because I realise that does have an effect. Strangely and annoyingly, I just tell them to get away from me. The worst people start to get more connected to me. So it's some flaw or failure of mine to be rejecting people from the flock. And that's probably what happens. Because when you reject them, they just fucking connect to you like a magnet. Can't get rid of the gypsies. monsters, murderers, and rapists that I would not break bread with or even share air with in the same room, and for that reason rejected and wanted nothing to do with them, and now I can't get rid of them. I even made them powerful by accident by rejecting them or something. I don't know. I don't know. This whole godly business, I don't know. We were not cut out for it. And I said that at the very beginning, and I feel those kind of standards. Like, am I going to be able to do like orchestrate all the migratory animals and lovingly care them and redirect them? I was like, nobody could. Who could? Mikhail. Who could do such thing? Who else could? Anyway, yeah. But yeah, harming me anyway, but achievement is hardly going to win over the confidences and confidences of Christ and confidences of good lordship, which these are going to require to save every problem on earth. So I'm just once again going to explain, you're not going to save climate, and this is really annoying because Higgins is going on about climate change and famine in Ethiopia, and it's like, you're causing these things. Like, primarily under the top of the list, Higgins, Michael D. Poxy Higgins, don't you want to say his name? It's like funny because he's like a man from Star Wars. He was the Republican senator leader turned evil empire witch doctor. And it is actually kind of what happened, like in Star Wars, is a Republican senator with some special kid that was living under his domain, and he was turned evil empire. Higgins, yeah. And just imagine Higgins with the fucking robe and hood and all now. He just looked like she nearly like my dad was trying to fucking, yeah, anyway. Higgins is technically involved in a plot to it that was, anyway, to get rid of me. Disembowelment. So yeah, he's the gospel truth is in his inconvenience. That's the big thing about this. Like, nobody cares about the gospel truth now. It's not an inconvenience to anyone, but it was a very massive inconvenience to many people back in that time of close to the AD. Is massively inconvenient to many wealthy, powerful people, and that's why they wanted to persecute, stamp it out, and get rid of it and covet it. And it's kind of wondering, in case you're ever wondering, why did they persecute Christianity and when they stabbed them and wanted, because they appeared to be some sort of disease. And it wasn't. It was a new temple being born, and it's a birth pang, and you're not supposed to resist the birth pang. You're supposed to let it rip, as Boris said. Resisting the birth pang makes an over complicated and painful birth for everybody. Mama Earth, over complicated birth for Mama Earth. So that's why they stamped out. And this is gospel truth is going to be a very inconvenient for people like Higgins and wealthy people, and the Rose world and royalty that wanted to stamp me out, reduce me, and destroy me. And they did the best they could, down to whatever's 1 or 2 or 3 left. And yeah, I don't die. And I won't die until my full testimony's been delivered. Which is kind of making me closer just talking on this one topic today, which has gone on for almost an hour. Thank you for tuning in and listening on the topic of indulgences and how these indulgences are causing every problem that you see around the world, every new problem that you're learning, big problems, pollution, famine, drought, war, natural disasters, flooding, waters shifting all over the earth. All of these problems you have need to be consolidated into one very, I've already said this before, one very convenient and affordable office. Not even office. You just need to put me on the TV and let me talk about how awesome Jesus Christ was. I'm going to make you love Jesus. You're going to let me make movies with Polanski about how awesome King David and Jesus was. I want to make a movie about the apostles, but you won't be able to stomach it because it's just going to be like 12-hour movie of people being snuffed that don't die, and just them being tortured. It's just going to be, you won't be able to stomach it. Good movie though, yeah, and it's kind of things that helps you. It's not important, but it does help the confidences of good lordship that you know the truth. It's easy to work with the people when they know the truth, and so that's why you go to church. You go to church to know the truth, hear the gospel truth, to put on your best clothes, be friendly, and you're making your best effort, and it makes the Lord want to work with us because we're all nice, and we even shake hands, and we're all friends here. Oh, we're friends, and we want to be your friend, and we're doing our best, and we love the truth. Oh, it's terrible, man, terrible what happened. Oh, jeez, that's what makes it work. That's the magic, the gospel magic, and how it makes the sunshine and the pollution process itself, and the wars all stop. Yeah, it's very simple. So I'm not supposed to be delivering my gospel truth to people that rip me off and like the church ripped off Jesus, stole his deeds. The people that rip me off are supposed to be going around evangelically telling the truth about what happened and what they did to redeem themselves because they lied and covered up and concealed. So to save their own balls, they're going to be wanting to run around and evangelically as possible, telling the truth. And if this is the exact same situation of the Vatican's like, these guys are assholes in the first place. These caused all the problems in the first place. And if you compare that transcends identically to the Vatican. It's like they were the assholes in the first place. These were the Roman Empire that persecuted, murdered Jesus, caused so much devastation all over the world. And now they're just because they owe such an evangelical commitment to repaying the debt, they seem to be glorified or special or in charge. I was like, the Vatican aren't. The Vatican are all just related to murderous Roman gypsies that persecuted and killed and tried to and caused so much problems in the first place. And they have an internal debt and commitments to Christ. Doesn't mean they're special at all. I mean, they're those assholes. They're those assholes. Anyway, they probably still are those assholes. They're probably trying to still stomp me out and rob me and reduce me and defamate and conceal me. So Allah Akbar. Islam might save you. Can't save yourselves. And yeah, I'm gonna go have a bath. This is just my morning cup of tea, and that'll warn you all again. So yes, I can stop it all. Yes, kill face. Yes, and I can stop global warming. Yes, and famine. Yes, and war. Yes, 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 yes. That was a funny show. Frisky Dingo. What does that mean again? Okay. I think I'm done here. Never good at wrapping things up. Last word. Yeah. So yeah, you just, get busy, get out there, chopping off heads and hands. No, don't really harm anyone. Yeah, True History of Israel. Alexander Supertramp. That's why it's good for you to watch the movie. That's why they start just making movies instead of keeping gospels, because Christ was the be all and end all, and there's no stories that really need to be told. All the stories that are sufficient are there. However, true history of growing and constantly growing Israel ought to be recognized, and that's why the movie industry is kind of good, because you can learn about. You don't really learn about them too directly most of the time. You kind of learn about it in a story, a proxy story or a pseudo story, like this movie Coco that I saw about this young guitarist kid who loved guitar, um, and got robbed and cheated of all the songs and stuff, and had to go to hell and work his way out. There's a lot of weird stories that have the elements there, and you know about and learn the elements of the story, which makes it easier for the true lordship to work with you. Knowing the truth, though, on certain events is going to be very helpful for you. So you can honestly and genuinely say, damn, man, that's crap, and they crucified you, man. You done nothing. You were a hero, man, and then you're a legend, and the most fatal, worst punishment possible. Even Pontius Pilate said that. He's done nothing. The kid's done nothing. It's like, oh, well, there's a mob punches. All right, just give the mob what they want. And that's what the mistake to Pontius Pilate was. Just gave the mob what they want, just to appease the mob. It's like, oh, whatever, just go kill the kid. Oopsie daisy, he doesn't die. It's crap. Yeah, I can't wait to make my Jesus movie, my movie about Jesus Christ. So he's a lot of love him and appreciate him again, because he just forgot about it. It was all too perfect, and he's just got too used to it all being too perfect, and perfection becomes boring. Then you're like, blah, new rayers and all, boring, Jesus, boring. Everybody knows the story, the Gospels. Yeah, I'll tell it. I'll tell the story anyway, and you'll be crying and laughing and crying and crying and crying, and you'll walk out of the cinema and you'll be a newborn person. Because you'll have the Lord who's willing and able to work with you by knowing the truth. Yes, reborn again, born again. Right, yeah, go save yourselves, because I am tired of trying. No, there's no end to me. All right, peace out.